Hi guys, welcome back to the Daily Racing Show here at RacePlazaMedia. My name is Milan and I have some racing news for you guys, so let's get into it. I have to say, unfortunately, this week has been pretty tough for racing. There are a lot of bad racing news that I have for you guys. However, I promise we will end this on a more happy note. Let's get right into it. We're going to start off with some two-wheel racing news, and we're going to actually start talking about the World Superbike Championship. We have the Kawasaki team that has announced this week that they will no longer be their own racing team. Next year, they are stepping down or stepping away from the World Superbike Championship, which is really, really unfortunate because they have been a big staple in the sport. They've been there for many, many years and also have many, many successes. So it is a bummer to see them. However, it is not all bad news because they are partnering up with a new team. And the new team will be called Bimoda by Kawasaki Racing, and Kawasaki will be providing some parts, including the engine for that new team, as well as some of the existing Kawasaki team members will be joining the new Bimoda team. So not all is bad, but it is a bummer to see someone that is so big in the sport and has been so successful in the sport to step away. Now moving on from that, I do also have some AMA Supercross news. Ken Roczen is unfortunately not completing his season. He is out for the remainder of the season due to his crash last week at the Nashville race. His bike had a malfunction and he was actually just flung off the bike very, very badly. And he ended up breaking his tip plateau, his foot, and his toe. And he is not able to complete the last 3 races of the season. However, it was really awesome to see Kenny doing really, really well this season. He even won a race. And based on what he has announced online, it does sound that he has plans to return to the sport. So we wish Kenny, of course, a fast and speedy recovery. And we are very excited to hopefully see him back on the track very, very soon. However, I have some more Supercross news. Cameron McAdoo, who is currently competing in the 250 SX East Coast division and is currently actually number 3 in the championship standing, is also out for the remainder of the season. Cameron was actually hit by another rider last week during the Nashville race during practice, and he ended up breaking his scapula and tearing a muscle in his shoulder, which makes him unable to compete for the remainder of the season. That is very, very unfortunate because he was fighting for the championship title. He's currently actually 3rd in the championship. However, he said he will not be needing any type of surgery, and he's a really positive guy because based on what he said, he is of course upset that he's not able to finish the season, but I was very happy with his riding this year. He did really, really well. He won a bunch of races. So we wish him, of course, also the best of luck. We wish him a speedy, speedy recovery, and hopefully we'll be able to see him in either motocross and, of course, in supercross next year again. Now, to break up the bad news a little bit, I have some medium news for you guys. This weekend, we actually have the very first all-autonomous race happening in Abu Dhabi. They're earlier this year, they announced that they're doing an all-autonomous racing league, which means essentially there's no human driver. It is all AI and coders and engineers that are working together to get this together. And this very weekend, they have their very first race. Everyone is using the same car. They're using a Dallara Super Formula SF23 car. There will be like a pre-qualifying session. There will be then a regular race, and then there will also be a race AI versus human. And it is actually a former Formula 1 driver, Daniel Kvyat, will be racing against the AI. So I hope he won't let us humans down and is really gonna crush the AI. However, I am gonna, I don't think I will be watching the race because honestly, if I have the time to watch a race, I will be watching humans. But I might check out the highlights because I am curious to see how the racing will look. But in the end, I will never be really that committed or excited about AI racing because I want to see racing for the people and for what people can do and not what a computer can do. I'm sorry that I'm so negative about this, but that's just how I feel about this whole thing. However, if you guys feel differently or if you guys agree, let me know down in the comments down below. Moving on from that, however, I do have some very upsetting news for you guys. Last weekend on Sunday in Sri Lanka at the Foxhole Supercross race, 7 people died. Apparently, based on witness reports, a car flipped over and race officials tried to flash the yellow lights at the following cars. However, one car veered into the right side and crashed into the viewers, killing 4 race officials and 3 spectators, including a 8-year-old girl. So our condolences here from RacePlazaMedia to the families. That is a very, very upsetting thing to happen. I think that is definitely should, whoever is the governing body, definitely investigations need to be done into that there is not a better system in place to prevent something from that, especially after I read that those were unguarded. It was an unguarded track, so essentially there were the people and the cars. There was no barrier in between to protect anyone from a potential crash. So once again, our condolences to the families affected by this. So far, the only other thing that I found out about this is that the 2 race drivers were arrested. However, their condition is currently no information about that. So if we find out anything else about this, we will let you guys know. But yeah, very, very upsetting that something like that is still happening to this day. That viewers and race officials and even race drivers are dying. I understand that this is a dangerous sport, racing, but something like this sounds like to me it was preventable. Now moving on from those news, I have some more bad news for fans of the IndyCar series, especially if you're a fan of the Team Penske team. They have currently 3 cars on the grid. They have the number 2, number 3, and number 12 car on the grid. And the number 2 and number 3 car were now 45 days later after the St. Petersburg win. They got a 1-2 actually. They were, both of those cars were disqualified because the governing body of the IndyCar series found out that all 3 cars were able to use the push to pass system during starts and restarts of the race, which they're not allowed to. And it's also very, very unfortunate for the number 12 car because they ended up getting punished. They got a 10-point penalty, even though that is the only driver out of the 3 of them that did not use the push-to-pass system to gain an advantage. That also resulted that the number 1 and 2 car were disqualified from the race completely because they used the button to gain a competitive advantage. That also means that the Air McLaren ended up winning the race, and the Power team was moved up to 2nd place, and the Andretti Global's team ended up moving on to 3rd place. I like also that the Team Penske CEO's excuse was that essentially they were using the software during a hybrid test, and the software was not removed from the cars, and that's why they were able to use them. But I'm like, the drivers knew that they weren't allowed to use them and they still did. So I'm glad that they were caught, but it is a little bit disappointing that they even did it in the first place. But I guess those guys are very, very competitive and they will do anything to win. Now moving on from all the bad news that I shared with you guys, I have some good news as promised. So first things first, the World Rally Championship is moving to the Poland stage, and in Poland we will be seeing the first non-hybrid Rally 1 car being tested at the stage. I'm very excited. If you guys are unfamiliar, next year during the 2025 WRC Championship, regulations have been changed that non-hybrid cars are also now able to compete. They are moving in that direction because it is more cost effective. So it will be interesting to see how a non-hybrid car will be stacking up to the hybrid cars, and it will also give a chance to more younger drivers to be competing in the championship. So it's very exciting to see that upcoming. for Poland. So if you have not checked it out, make sure to check out the World Rally Championship, because those guys are crazy. What they're doing in those cars is absolutely insane, and the stages are absolutely beautiful, and they're all incredibly different. So if you have never checked out the WRC Championship, make sure to do that. Also, in other news, Sébastien Ogier, who is a famous rally driver, has actually complained about the point system. This year, the WRC has introduced a new point system, I think to make it more competitive and interesting, and to keep teams to push out through all stages of a race. However, he is very upset because he says it is very unclear who at the end of the weekend will be at the top step, and he thinks the new point system is just rewarding everyone just essentially for competing. I am too new to the WRC to really make a judgment call about this. I don't know if this is also just growing pains where everyone just has to get adjusted, and making the new point system is making the whole thing more competitive. If you are a WRC veteran, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on this. Moving on from those points, I have more talks about points, because Formula One is actually thinking about extending their point system so people can actually score points up until 12th place. Right now, if you guys are unfamiliar, you can only score points from 1st till 10th place, and even if you get the fastest lap of the race, you only get the extra point if you land a top 10 spot. However, now there are talks that they might be extending the points up until 12th place, which I think is a great idea, because right now, unless one of the top 10 cars has an issue, the other teams are not really scoring a point, and I think it will make it overall more competitive, especially the Constructors' Championship. So I'm all for it. Let me know also in the comments down below what you guys' thoughts are on that, but I think that's a really, really cool idea. I have, however, more Formula One news, so don't think that's all it. So I think one of the bigger news this week is that actually Ferrari, for the Miami race, will be racing in blue. I know Ferrari is famously a red car or a red team. However, back in the day, especially Enzo Ferrari was actually a big fan of blue, and there were special races where they would actually race in blue, and their American cars for a while also were in a darker blue. For this upcoming Miami Grand Prix, Ferrari will be in blue, so it'll be exciting. I've seen some people online not too happy about it, but I'm actually usually pro special liveries or liveries. I don't know how you pronounce it, and especially if it's just a one-off, why not? And let me know in the comments what you guys think about Ferrari being blue. And the last Formula One news that I have for you guys is that before the Miami Grand Prix, Formula One will be launching a 24/7 Formula One channel on free TV in the US. So that includes Samsung TV, Amazon Freevee, and Pluto TV. You can watch it on there as well. They will be playing race replays, detailed highlights, expert analysis from current Formula 1, Formula 2, Formula 3, as well as from the F1 Academy season. Those will be shown 5 days after the scheduled event, and they will also be showing some older Grand Prix and Grand Prix races. So I'm actually quite excited to check it out. I'm usually not someone who watches any type of TV. However, I do have Samsung TV, so I'm willing to check it out and to see what they have to offer. And the last news that I have to share with you guys today is probably the most exciting news that I can share with you guys, is that the ERT Formula E racing team has announced that the reigning F1 Academy champion Marta Garcia will be joining the team for the rookie testing in Berlin. So it'll be really exciting. I hope everything goes well for her, because that means that we might be able to see her on the grid this year. Marta Garcia is actually currently racing, or will be racing, for the Iron Dames in the Formula Regional European Championship. So if everything goes well, she will be able to move on from that and hopefully be joining the Formula E team, Formula E grid next year. And that will be it for all the racing news that I have for you guys today. Once again, I do apologize that it was a little bit of sad news in the beginning, but I hope I was able to rope it all back in at the end. And as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and I will be seeing you guys here tomorrow at the Daily Racing Show.